Hello and welcome to this Division 2 highlights reel of the Australian Grand Prix here at Albert Park. 16 turns of 5.3 kilometres make this road circuit in the heart of Victoria, home to 3 DRS straights and an average speed of 120 miles per hour. Keep an eye out on turns 11 and 12, indeed one of the most dangerous corners on this circuit. And the C2 to C4 compounds available to the drivers at this race. Tyre wear fairly consistent but also fairly fast. You'll only be able to get the best of the softs in about 6 laps before falling off a cliff at around 10 laps. Quick reminder of how the grid lined up in this race, and Mercedes began a good start to their campaign to retain their crown, with Vickers getting pole position. He sits in front of the Renault driver HB Suppressor. SF1 Sean sets the bar for Red Bull. This time he sits in front of the McLaren veteran Mongdog. Out-qualified by his teammate by only one position, PWR Hamster sits in front of the driver finishing P3 in the standings last season in Purple Haze. And Morgan 4S started further down the order than he would have liked. He sits next to the driver starting his full season at Synergy Strategic Herpes. SF1 Tom joins into this race last minute with little practice. He starts alongside PWR Infamous. Novice driver SV Kisbo starts only her second competitive Grand Prix in a respectable P11. She sat in front of the Red Bull of LR Tyrant. PWR Shadow sits in front of Paul Davey on the 7th row of the grid, the two drivers making their full seasonal debuts in this race, and American runner KGS Leftover sat in front of the South African driver of TEO Vespa. The drivers are lined up and we're counting down the lights. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, and it's 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a go. The drivers, here they are. We have Vickers going on the inside, and he's doing a cracking job to try and hold on to the position, but a good start from HB Suppressor coming around the outside. We have a Red Bull trying to sneak in, potentially. He gets into P2, does SF1 Sean's, but off the track, and I think we have a spinning car, and the spinning car of Vickers on the very first turn puts himself into the wall. So we now have SF1 Sean's following ahead in P1, and Purple Haze gets knocked out of the running as well. What a disastrous start to the campaign to hold on to the Constructors' Championship for the Mercedes runs. HB Suppressor follows to P2 as Vickers leaves the session as well. It's absolutely disastrous for the Mercedes runner. Mongdog onto the podium with SF1 Tom getting 5 positions and LR Tyre getting 7. Up on the start with Strategic Herpes in P6 and Shadow in P7. Morgan loses a position down in P8 with Infamous in P9 and KGS Leftover from near the back of the grid starting and getting himself into P10 with TEO Vespa following in P11. PWR Hamster loses 7 positions down to P12 as Sector 2 yellow flags have been waved. I think that might be Strategic Herpes who's made a mistake with Paul Davey down in P14. And as I said, Vickers and Purple Haze, what happened? Heading into turn 1, they ended up making a mistake, and it's a disastrous start to the campaign at Mercedes to carry on their championship hopes in the Constructors. Shocking stuff indeed. Shocking stuff as Morgan 4S is also out as well, and he's lost it on the familiar corner where a lot of people familiar to this track will lose it. He's lost it on the curbs and ploughed it into the wall. We have a virtual safety car out now. In the space of 2 laps, we're down to now 13 runners here at Synergy PWR, People's World Racing. Shocking stuff to start off with here. 3 Mercedes powered cars out of the running, and the OGs as well, of course, of Purple Haze and Morgan 4S, who are really, really close in battle, are still going to be close heading into round 2. 0 points for all of them, and HB Suppressor ends up taking the fastest lap of the race, but then Infamous comes in and takes that one as well. Gains and losses all around the field. 8 positions gained for Tyrant and Shadow. They'll be very happy with their race pace, I believe. And remember, slight difference when it comes to the tyres, though. We do have 4 medium tyres running the show at the moment. Sean's, Tyrant, Mongdog and Suppressor all on mediums. Shadow, Infamous and Leftover all on softs. And they were all, if I remember correctly as well, fresh softs as well. Apart from Shadows, which are already 4 laps old from qualifying 2. Shocking stuff indeed. HB Suppressor at the moment trying to close down the gap on Sean's. He has DRS available. Might try to make a bit of a dive up on the inside, but can't do so, and he locks up the tyres. Going past down the walking straight, he's going to make the swipe along the right-hander. Unable to make that move there, but he is going to have plenty of DRS available. Try and make a move potentially on Sean's down this main straight if he can get a good exit, and it looks like he might have had a good one, but Sean's himself has had a good one as well, and he already directs himself to the inside line as Tyrant gets the fastest lap of the race in the sister Red Bull, followed by Shadow. DRS available as well on this second bit here. Is he going to be able to make a move here? Potentially, we'll have to see. As Tyrant is looking to try and make a move past Mongdog, and he goes up for a dive up the inside and is unable to do so in the Red Bull. So the Red Bull's now battling for position, 1 to gain and 1 to lose. Great stuff and great battling at the moment happening between these medium runners. They're all battling, and of course in doing so, Shadow is going to close down the gap, and he's on fresh soft tyres as well, so he's going to be able to close down the gap, and he's going to be on stickier tyres maybe, as there's definitely some damage happened from the Renault. I believe an end plate might be missing off the right, and it's on the left side of the wing of that Renault after launching himself potentially into the back of the Red Bull. Remember, we are running on simulation damage here at SynergyPWR. The slightest tap and it will cause you to lose a bit of your wing. Maybe a dive from LR Tyrant, unable to do so here because he still has that DRS available, and of course now the Renault with that front wing damage is going to cause him a hindrance because he's going to lose time to SF1 Sean's, and that's going to bring the McLaren of Mongdog on into it. Going to be a great battle indeed, but there's definitely front wing damage for that Renault. I saw it on board with Mongdog. And the reason why for KGS leftover coming into the pits I thought was a tyre change turned out to be a drive-through penalty. Surprisingly enough, I was unaware of that. I didn't see any details appear on my screen about him getting a drive-through penalty, but he's down to P12, so he's now going to have to try and close down the gap, as will Mongdog at the moment, who's now going to try and close down the gap on HP Suppressor, who has got that missing end plate on the left side of that Renault. And then we're going to have Tyre possibly make up a move, maybe around the outside, going on board with Shadow. But watch this happen as Mongdog goes wide, and Tyrant is going to have to try and squeeze himself through, forces Mongdog onto the gravel. And Tyrant has put himself into third place. It's a great battle happening with the Renault as we follow on board with Shadow, and you can see he's now going to close down the gap on Mongdog. I'm unaware of any kind of damage for the McLaren. A couple of mistakes from Mongdog has put him in a position where he's now lost out on the podium, but he might be able to get himself back on if Suppressor's damage is bad enough. Shadow still not close enough to look for any kind of moves at the moment. He's going to have to start considering it soon as KGS Leftover has retired out of the session. He's crashed out. We're back with the battle now for P1 though, and we can see now HP Suppressor is making a move on SF1 Sean's, and shockingly enough, even with the wing damage, HP Suppressor makes the move, and now we've got the two Red Bulls battling each other here for second place, as Sean's just yields the position, knowing that this is going to be a battle for a couple of podium positions for Red Bull, which would be a great start to the campaign to try and knock Mercedes off the title hunt. And then you can see there, both of them crashing out on lap number 1. Does Vicolas and Purple Haze, and it's a shocking stuff and great stuff, and a big thank you to Hoon coming in here. Brilliant Clash Racing, loving it, absolutely great stuff, isn't it, as well, from the Red Bulls. And HP Suppresso, even with the wing damage, now closing and trying to gain positions at the moment as we start to see here the hard tyres of Paul Davies. HP Suppressor makes a move, and oh, there's wing damage everywhere, and a mistake from the Renault, I believe, I'm not sure, but of course he's going to have the position. Will PWR Shadow, no doubt, not going to say, look, it's my position, I can't give it you. And we're going to have the teammate now of HP Suppressor, PWR Infamous, no doubt is going to be handed the position here. Suppressor, unsure of what happened, but he lost the rear end, and I'm unsure too if there was a collision maybe. But HP Suppressor was in prime position to hold on to something there, and he spun out, and now he's given the Red Bulls a 1-2. And Mongdog is the only person really going to be within realm of the same strategy to be able to make any kind of move, but Shadow is on the soft tyre as Infamous is handed the position to 2P5, as Suppressor is now going to have to probably come into the pits and get that front wing change, because there is some significant front wing issue here for the number 14 Renault. Intriguing stuff as Paul Davey has now, his messages coming in as Strategic Herpes is out of the running as well, surprisingly enough, and we've just had a message coming from Paul Davey. He has a puncture. He has a puncture on the front right, and he's been desperately unlucky. He's just come out on those hard tyres, and now he's got a puncture, so he's now going to have to get that replaced as well. And we've got a couple of other people coming in the pit. Shadow and Infamous now choosing to go into a fresh set of medium tyres. That releases Mongdog out in the open with a 10-second gap to him and SF1. Make note here, we could end up for a Red Bull 1-2, McLaren 3-4 if Hamster can get past SF1 Tom at the moment, and he's looking very pacey and has the ability to be able to do so. And TEO Vespa from the back of the grid is now up to 6th. Great run from the South African driver as Purple Haze has left the session. Really desperately unlucky stuff from the Mercedes runners. Would have loved to know what actually happened between the two of them, as the 3-second time penalty for Hamster going through, I believe, out of turn 6. Gap closing for P6 though at the moment as PWR Shadow on the medium tyres. Looking to try and get past the old soft tyres of TEO Vespa. Dive up the inside maybe from the Racing Point. Tries to hold on. And side-by-side racing. The Racing Point goes past. And TEO Vespa relegated to 7th position. And we're looking to try and close down the gap if he can. And he is actually going into ERS forces, looking to try and defend it. But I think he's realised that his tyres are just not up to the task right now. DRS wide open. Perhaps a pit stop may be in order for the Vespa. Really intriguing stuff at the moment, just following Mongdog at the moment. Reports coming in from a few people that would suggest Mongdog has wing damage. Will my director be able to pop over to have a look and see if Mongdog does have this wing damage? I'll take a look. I don't see anything significant at the moment from Mongdog and his front wing. Number 57 McLaren holding on to P3 at the moment and hoping his teammate may be able to take P4. Of course, that would require to gain a pit stop plus 2 seconds on these hard tyres. SF1 Tom looking to try and commit to an overcut that might work. The medium tyres and he stays on them, so he is committing to the overcut. As SF1 Sean has now entered the pits and he is going to be strapping on a set of soft tyres. And Shadow does manage to get past him, but he will have to pit again. I don't feel he can get to the end on these medium tyres. But I've seen it done before, so it's certainly going to be an intriguing one to watch. SF1 Tom, though, definitely committing to the overcut at the moment. As it stands, Mongdog will be inheriting P1 if Tyrant and Sean's are working with each other here to commit to a race. Make note, though, of course, Sean's on soft tyres, which means he will have to pit again, so he's committing to a 2-stop. And I've got no doubt LR Tyrant will probably try and do the alternative strategy and do a 1-stop, so perhaps hard to the end of the race. As of a couple of drivers have done so already. Second place in Division 2 last season, Morgan 4S crashes out on lap 2 as Kisbo... Oh, God, no! Kisbo spins out and puts Mongdog into the wall. Kisbo looks like she spun out and then reversed onto the racing line, which caused Mongdog to shake. And it's put the McLaren into the wall. Shocking stuff happened there at that time, and Mongdog will be furious. He was on for a podium in this Australian Grand Prix, and Kisbo, I believe, will be coming in for a front wing change, but may end up being reprimanded for that one. So no doubt Mongdog will be making a note of it, and indeed I saw that one happen live, and it's just unfortunate there for Mongdog. Really unfortunate stuff there. Still a very wide variety of situations happening at the moment. LR Tyrant now in the pits. He'll be leaving. Set of softs for him at the moment. PWR Shadow will hoping to try and get out in front of Tyrant if he can. And he has done so. So PWR Shadow has now inherited first place on these medium tyres. He will end up versing LR Tyrant on fresh softs. But it's certainly going to cause a bit of a hindrance here. Because Tyrant possibly could go to the end here. 11 lap softs potentially. But they will burn through much faster if PWR Shadow keeps him in the wake. Shadow making a bit of a mistake going through 7 and 8 rather, sorry, with the LR Tyrant now looking to possibly maybe have a little hitch around the outside. Can't do so, but it's end up going to get trapped in the dirty air. Cuts that corner, no doubt we'll get a warning for it. And with the DRS wide open and SF1 Tom got in another 3 second time penalty now. Shadow looking to try and hold on to dear life, but he's going to have a lot less traction compared to Tyrant's fresh softs. Perhaps a dive up the inside, chooses not to. Knowing he's going to have DRS and ERS to play with. Both have got around about the same level of ERS, about 40%. The DRS is just going to create such an effect here for PWR Shadow to be able to hold on to the position here. And as you can see, he just has to concede the position in the hope that he can potentially make a move on Tyrant, making a mistake out of 2, and he just is holding on and doing a really good job as the Red Bull. And will the Racing Point potentially make a move? He can't, and Tyrant just a little bit of weaving, maybe heading into 3, but he's safe and sound, and he's through into P1. Right now it is just Shadow that's holding on here, holding off rather Red Bull from having a very good strategic 1-2. After the shocking incidents of Purple Haze and Vickers crashing out on lap number 1. And Mongdog, shocking circumstances after getting a little bit in a bit of a rut as a result of SV Kisbo crashing out. Neither of them communicating with each other as a result of spinning out and causing a little bit of a ruckus. DRS available for PWR Shadow. At the moment, Shadow really munching through all of his ERS at the moment to try and close down the gap on Tyrant, and it's just not going to happen on old medium tyres. Perhaps it'd be worth the pit stop, perhaps not. Very sad stuff as SF1 Sean now leaving the pits. It is now soft tyres to the end. Hamster promoted to P5 as Infamous comes into the pits for softs as well. SF1 Tom promoted as a result to P6. It is now a dash to the end, 11 seconds, 8 laps to go to try and get that final podium position. Otherwise, HB Suppressor on hard tyres could go to the end, theoretically speaking. PWR Shadow electing now, it's the pits for him. And it is softs to the end for PWR Shadow. The question is, will he be able to stay out in front of SF1 Sean's? The gap is 23 seconds and it will be mighty close between the Racing Point and the Red Bull. The undercut seems to have worked because SF1 Sean's is coming down the main straight and Shadow is in front. The undercut has worked, the long strategy has worked, and now we have PWR Shadow in 3rd position, and Sean's, who was munching through all of his ERS, has nothing left, has missed out on about a second. Gap now to 3.5, 3 seconds separating him from Sean, and Hamster on the hard tyres looking to try and consolidate 10 points for McLaren, which will be bitterly disappointing considering what happened with Mongdog. So what seems to be a bit of a rookie error from SV Kisbo bursting into the path of the McLaren. Ghosting came into play, but it just wasn't fast enough for Mongdog to react to it. And Shadow in that corner alone, 7/10 of a second, 4/10 of a second. He's gaining and gaining and gaining. Shadow looking to try and get around HB Suppressor, who's under a lot of pressure here to try and hold on to a podium at this rate. Maybe a down the inside, maybe a bit of a look for Shadow, and HB Suppressor may have to hold on, and that's position lost. Down to P3 is the hard runner. The one-stop strategy is starting to fall apart, but will he be able to hold on to a podium for Renault? SF1 Tom now closing down the gap again on Hamster, 1.3 seconds the difference. Cracking turnaround heading through 3, but Hamster keeping it very consistent on these hards. Gap at the moment with Hamster. Currently setting relatively decent lap times, actually setting his personal best on lap number 24. Currently only losing a 10th per lap since then. It may not be fast enough. Gap now down to 1.3, then 1.1. Good work from SF1 Tom to close down the gap now within DRS. Bit of action happening across the field as well for this one. Exactly the same happening with SF1. Sean's now trying to make the overtake on HB Suppressor. It may end up going down for a last lap dash. We'll have to see, but HB Suppressor is going to be holding on for dear life. No doubt that Renault will be holding on for dear life because he wants to hold on to this podium, and what a valiant effort it would be if he does. But it is SF1 Sean's looking to try and get a Red Bull 1-2. SF1 Tom, opportunity may be knocking here for the Ferrari to make a pass around Hamster, but doesn't have the ERS to do it, whereas Hamster does have to hold on to. And maybe a move from SF1 Sean up on the inside again to 4, and maybe a bit of a move here from SF1 Sean. And what a cracking overtake that was from the Red Bull. Puts himself into the prime position for P3. Maybe a move though returning here for the Renault, but is he going to have the traction to be able to pull a good move here? And he just simply does not have that pace to do it, and he just puts down the power again too early, which resulted in him losing out on pole position, first place rather, in the race earlier. And now he's going to have to hold on for dear life. DRS available here, possibly to ERS 3 maybe, with only the 20% he has left. He's got into 4, but Sean's just has all of the power on those soft tyres, and there we have the two-stop strategy working at the very, very last minute. Two-stop strategy also potentially working for SF1 Tom, who wants to make a move. He has a 3-second time penalty for his troubles though. He tries to get around Hamster but can't find the gap, and this is going to be a last lap dash here for Hamster to try and hold on to 10 points for McLaren. 3/10 of a second separating him from the Ferrari, as F1 Tom looks for maybe a bit of a move, and late braking just wasn't able to find that space there, as Hamster's going to give him a dose of dirty air going through the final corner. DRS open and ERS available to use as Hamster tries to hold on for dear life. He's holding on to the racing line. Will Tom be able to make the move? He doesn't have the power to do it, and Hamster holds on. DRS available again, 2 laps to go. It could be a last lap dash here, and a great exit from Hamster, and Tom makes that mistake. At this moment in time, he's just holding on for dear life. LR Tyrant now coming around the final third sector to complete the race and take his victory. His first victory in Season 3. It is so close. That's happening. The battle happening at the moment for P5, but we've got to go back to P1 as LR Tyrant coming now down on the line to take victory of the Australian Grand Prix. Congratulations to him and Team Red Bull on for a 1-3, but big shout out to PWR Shadow as well, starting down the order in P13. The Racing Point man finishes on the podium, the second step as well, and Racing Point take 19 points. SF1 Sean's will be following though in the line here to take a 1-3 for Red Bull. Good work from them, and we're going to be seeing it go down all the way to the wire for P6 as Hamster gets a good exit, but DRS is going to be available. Will it go down to the wire? Will SF1 Tom be able to make the move? And he can't. And there we have a completed run, and SF1 Tom, great battle between him and Hamster takes 10 points from McLaren, which I think is probably the best he would have been able to do. Unfortunate circumstances for Mondog as well, especially. Infamous crosses the line for P7. It's not a bad run from Renault. It's a pair finish. An unserved stop-go penalty for SV Kisbo. She takes her first points in her league racing career, does the Williams, so congratulations to her, and congratulations to SV as well. As we see the final runner, TEO Vespa, taking 8th place for South Africa. Congratulations to them. Not a bad race indeed at all. We're going to be heading up to the podium. And there we see it. LR Tyrant topping the standings and taking 25 points. Number 31 Renault taking it with his teammate in P3, and a good run indeed from PWR Shadow. What a run from them. Just in general, I think from the two of them, from P12 and P13 on the grid, they managed to get first and second. And of course, what an absolutely topsy-turvy race it was indeed for the likes of the Mercedes. Where were they today? Crashing out of lap number 1 they were, and they take 0 points.